Welcome back to NC Sports for the latest weekly news edition, where the water sports action never quits. Coming up, a tough Caiscais GP spells a success for ex-Dubai team in round 3 of the UIM XCat World Series. Pumping conditions also in Cardiff as the Wave Muscat wins Act 4 and takes the overall lead. Plus, it's official, the Extreme Sailing Series will be foiling in 2016. On board for a unique insider look at the Bol D'Or, Swiss adventure for Senior Correspondent Sebastien Destremau. Gary Hunt seals a poker from Copenhagen's Opera House and opens a massive lead on the Cliff Diving World Series title. With Abu Dhabi already a winner, the Volvo Ocean Race reaches its epilogue in Gothenburg. Royalty for a record. Caiscais hops on board Mod 70 Musandam Oman sails with Sydney Gavinier at the Kieler Woche Welcome Regatta. NC Sports plunge into the action. Average speeds of nearly 86 knots on ex-Dubai, Arif Al-Zafain and Nadir bin Hindi tamed the competition and the choppy waves of the Caiscais Grand Prix last week for round 3 of the UIM XCat World Series. Conditions were indeed harsh, with officials making last-minute safety changes on the 13-lap racecourse to avoid the worst. High-flying maneuvers and tech failure were still in order, while all crews went on survival mode. A bad start and then engine troubles flushed out championship leaders Rashid Al-Tayer and Faleh Al-Mansouri on Abu Dhabi. Luck also ran out for Italians Giovanni Carpitella and Marco Pennesi when the power steering gave up on their T-bone. The best placement so far on the XCat circuit, François Pinelli and Saul Boubaco on yachts nailed a huge second place for France, while the other Azzurri Tommaso Polli and Matteo Nicolini on horse and bus closed in third here in Portugal. It's an all-Emirati battle at the top of the World Championship, with ex-Dubai now overtaking Abu Dhabi for the lead. Italy's horse and bus team is not far behind in third, so round 4 next August at the Gold Coast GP in Australia promises to bring even more upsets. The Wave Muscat sealed an impressive comeback victory over the weekend as the Extreme Sailing Series Armada took the water under strong and gusty wind conditions in Cardiff. Up to 25 knots swept in to greet this world-class stadium sailing circuit, and the show was full on. Plus, it's official, it will get even better next year with the introduction of foiling. Meanwhile, Act 4 delivered the action, and a collision with SAP on day 1 forced the Omanis out for 5 races. Upon receiving redressal, British skipper Leigh McMillan then charged on to dominate, with 8 wins and another 5 podium placements.
So it was pretty nerve-wracking at times and lots of adrenaline pumping through the team. But yeah, it was, we had a bit of a job to do today, and yesterday wasn't a great penultimate day for us, and we came out and really everything just kind of clicked into place, and we had a good game plan, and so we're absolutely thrilled to win here for the 3rd time.
Adding to a thrilling last day, the Flaming Austrians on Red Bull snatched a 2nd place away from the dangerous days of SAP Extreme. With a 2nd event victory here in the UK, the Wave Muscat now leaps ahead of Team SAP, trailing by a single point, while Red Bull is on a solid 3rd. Cardiff also signaled the beginning of a new flying era as OC Sports CEO Mark Turner officially announced that the Extreme 40s will be foiling in 2016. The upcoming 10-year anniversary of the Extreme Sailing Series.
Taking a little tour on a ferry boat to join an international event is quite special and adds a lot to a great atmosphere.
You're watching the Sailing Updates Desktop News. Welcome to the office. A Swiss office this week, as I am welcoming you from the Société Nautique de Genève just a few hours before the start of the famous Bol D'Or Mirabeau. This Psaros 40 is the winner of last year's event in the monohull class, but why this boat? Well, I have been invited to compete in this mythical event on board a sister ship. So let's go for it.
The 472 boats are taking the start of the 77th edition of the Bol D'Or Mirabeau under a beautiful sunshine and a soft southerly breeze. As usual, the show in Geneva is exceptional. The D35 Lady Cat takes the early lead in the multi-hull division by electing the Swiss side ahead of Safran and Mobimo, favoring the French coast. In the monohulls, the ones electing the Swiss side have a great start as well.
We're just about to exit the little lake. For now, we're okay, but there's a long way to go.
While Lady Cat seems to pull away from the pack when approaching the halfway points, the lake is becoming tricky in Le Bouveret, and the top three D35s are clearing the mark in less than a minute.
Well, just after the halfway mark, we're going okay with fourth at this stage, but it's very, very tricky on the lake today, very tricky.
On the way back, a massive storm breaks out and the wind rises from nothing to 30 knots in minutes. The mast of the GC32 Gitana breaks under these false gale winds. The final in the multi-hull between Alenghi and Temtelt is breathtaking. Tension rises when Ernesto Bertarelli tries a last push, eventually failing only a mere 18 seconds behind the winner, Temtelt. Finishing more than 3 hours later, the 77th edition of the Bol D'Or Mirabeau is also very exciting in the monohull divisions. The lead changes several times and 30 seconds separates the winner Oyster from the second place Regin. On board Accent Project, the team fights to the end and finishes third a handful of minutes behind the leaders.
1:30 in the morning, we've been racing for 15 hours. The result, well, third across the line, which is not too bad. We could have done better.
Claiming his poker with another win in Denmark, cliff diving hero Gary Hunt is putting on a relentless defense of his World Series title. Topping once again the 500-point mark, the Briton had simply no rivals. The world's top 14 divers braved the windy conditions as they plunged into the cold waters from the 27-meter platform placed on the roof of the Copenhagen Opera House. A 476.85 gave second place overall to another UK diver in full form, Blake Aldridge, and Colombian legend Orlando Duque continued his comeback season, closing with yet another third place at 463.60. With his fourth consecutive victory and the math on his side, this 31-year-old may now be simply impossible to catch. Currently, Hunt holds a massive 250-point overall lead. Duque is second with Aldridge right on his tail, and just 4 events are left in this 2015 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. Next up is San Miguel in the Azores this mid-July. He'll be there with NC Sports. An ecstatic Turkish-American crew captained by Charlie Enright was first across the line with Alvi Medica on Monday morning in Sweden. as the Volvo Ocean Race completed what has been a spectacular and captivating round-the-world adventure that began last October in Spain's Alicante. The real 1,000 nautical mile match race on this last Lorient-The Hague-Gothenburg route was in fact mostly about the 2 remaining spots on the podium. The Dutch team on Team Brunel were right behind in second, with skipper Boe Becking also confirming a second place overall, at the expense of the Dongfeng Chinese-French team, led by Charles Caudrelier, fourth behind Spain's Mapfre, and ultimately settling for third overall. That broken mast at Cape Horn was certainly a factor. Over 35,000 nautical miles later and already winners of this 2014-15 edition with one leg to go, Abu Dhabi sailed a conservative last leg 9 to close in 5th with 24 points on the final scoreboard. A strange feeling for a fighter like British skipper Ian Walker.
Well, it feels good to hold the trophy up. Yeah, it's been strange because we sort of won it in Lorient, but we knew we had them. We had to still be careful, and we've had this leg where it kind of didn't matter what happened as long as we didn't get disqualified. So it's been a very strange couple of weeks, but it's actually given us a bit of time to think about it. And yeah, nothing prepared for me for lifting that trophy up, and I'm sure we're going to wave it in the air a few more times in the weeks to come.
Really exciting. It's really amazing for me. It's the first time I can sail on this kind of boat, so truly exceptional. It's very reactive, and I was really lucky to be able to helm a bit. So it's good. You have to play with the main and keep some wind in the sails so that you don't stop the boat when the boat starts tipping a bit too much. So it's really balanced to find. It's very, very fun.
Pierre Caiscais had the sail of his life last Saturday as guest crew member on Musandam Oman Sail when it retained and improved on its own record at the classic Kieler Woche Welcome Race. The vice president of the Monaco Yacht Club and son of Princess Caroline is no newbie to fast ocean sailing. His previous experience includes a transat on VOR 17 Maserati at the Cape to Rio last year. This time, however, he hopped on board a powerful Mod 70 trimaran. Caiscais joined French pro skipper Sidney Gavinier, as well as Germany's offshore great Boris Herrmann, Mohsin Al-Busaidi, the first Arab to sail around the world non-stop, and Ibtisam Al-Salmi from Oman's pioneering women's sailing program. Reaching top speeds of 26 knots with just 15 knots of wind incoming from the west, Musandam Oman Sail shaved off 6 minutes and 56 seconds from its old 2014 record of 1 hour and 47 minutes. Join the current sailing fans this Saturday at 7 p.m. Don't miss a very special edition of Top Story, featuring an exclusive interview with ISAF President Carlo Croce in Portofino. Nautical Channel host Andy Van Zyl sat down with sailing's top world authority for a 360-degree chat on the classics and the early days of the sport. Plus, so much more. The modern era, the Olympics, the Paralympic debacle for 2020, the VOR, Luna Rosa's retirement, and of course, the America's Cup. Plunge into the action with NC Sports.